All right, welcome to the December 7th, 2022 Conservation Commission meeting. The time is just after 6 o'clock. Consistent with Chapter 107 of the Acts of 2022, this meeting will be conducted by remote participation. The public may not physically attend this meeting, but every effort will be made to allow the public to view and listen to the meeting in real time and participate when necessary. As usual, please check the city's calendar, the posted agendas for the upcoming Zoom link information and call-in information as well. All right, we will begin with a roll call. Member Charpentier.
Here.
Member Cook.
Yes.
Member Gradwell.
Member Gradwell is here, and on the second meeting in November, the 16th, I listened in real time to the entire situation, and I have read the notes on the meeting, so I feel that I don't have to recuse on any of the items.
Okay. Member Sargent.
Here.
Member Sherman.
Here.
Member Gulla.
Here.
And Member Jackson.
Here.
All right, we have a quorum present.
Okay, next up is the administrative briefing portion of the meeting. Charles, did you have anything to talk about? Well, while you're thinking, I'm going to jump in and say, related to administrative briefing, the last meeting and previous meetings, there's been a couple of times when commissioners have put forth concern in the terms of, well, passionate about certain things that they don't like or see what's going on in terms of the city of Gloucester. We as a board have to be careful with that. We need to, when we want to vote up or down, obviously down is the real issue here, a project, it really needs to be because the project doesn't meet one of the 5 standards or regulatory issues that it's being put forth for. Not liking it is not a reasonable, you got to put it in a regulatory situation, and you don't want to vote on it for this or that. Being passionate, you don't have to like the project, but we just have to make sure when we state our reasoning behind it, it's part of the regulatory system and not feelings. That's all.
Yes, and I definitely want to second that because I'll have to be writing the denial document, so we need concrete things to point to on why we are denying something. So
Exactly.
I did find my notes here. The 2 things I had was we did have an oil spill. It was a Verizon vehicle working on a pole that had I believe, a transmission leak. And DEP was made aware of it, and they did have a crew on site. I haven't been able to get back out there to follow up on the final remediation of that, but they were following all the protocols to clean that up. And the other, pardon?
Where was this?
It was on Cart Path Road over, yeah. And the other one was we just had a meeting. They're going to be starting the high school wall probably sometime in January. So starting that work over there.
Flood control.
Yes, yep. We're putting in that steel wall along the
Gonna be
asphalt
pretty.
there. So
Pretty. Okay, anything else, Chuck?
that's all I have at the moment.
Okay, next up is public meeting, the public comment period. This is the period of meeting where anybody in the public is welcome to speak for or against any items that are, for any items that are not, repeat, not on tonight's agenda. Anyone who wishes to speak may do so by hitting the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen or hitting *9 on your phone or handheld device.
All right, we'll try the other Joan. I do recognize that last name. They're on for another. All right, Joan, are you there?
Joan?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
This is Ron Squilacciati.
Name and address for the record?
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay, this is Ron Squilacciati. I'm on Jones' computer, I guess. They must have put up. But it's for 58 Woodward Ave. It's new business NOI, which I think is later on in the meeting.
correct.
I'll put your hand down for now and you can talk during that time if that's okay.
Oh, okay, fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So I assume we're done with the public comment period?
There's John Michael that still has a hand up, but hand is down now. So
Do you know of a John Michael on any of the applications?
I do not.
So let's move on. I mean, I don't know what else we can do at this point.
Yep.
So what's the next project would be? We're in the public comment period.
Yep. So minutes.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Hearing none, seeing none in the public comment, I'm going to close the public comment period. Next up is minutes and review and approval, November 16, 2022. Anybody, we have enough to vote, I'm assuming. So I don't know if Joe, if you want
Oh, I'm sorry.
to.
I was jotting something down. Yeah. Commissioner Jackson moves to approve the minutes for the November 16th, 2022 meeting of the Conservation Commission as amended.
Charpentier seconds.
Call Member Charpentier,
Yes.
Member Cook,
Yes.
Member Gradwell,
yes,
Member Sargent,
Yes,
Member Sherman. You're muted, Bob.
Yes.
And Member Gullo
Yes.
and Member Jackson.
Yes.
Okay, next up is we'll go through some housekeeping here. RDA 1703 Salt Island Road, Salt Island LLC, Nathaniel Stevens, McGregor Legier, and Stephen PC previously continued this meeting to December 21st, 2022. And we have notice of intent 28-2827-105 Winger Sheet Road, lots A and B, 125 Winger Sheet LLC, Joel Favaza, Seaside Legal representing, requested a continuation to January 18, 2023. Notice of intent. Oh,
Commissioner Jackson moves to continue NOI 0282827 at 105 Winger Sheik Road, lots A and B, to the Conservation Commission meeting of January 18th, 2023.
Charpentier seconds.
Roll call, Member Charpentier,
Yes.
Member Cook,
Yes.
Member Gradwell,
yes,
Member Sargent,
yes,
Member Sherman,
Yes.
Member Gullo,
yes.
Member Jackson.
Yes.
Okay, I'll only be recusing from one tonight, but this is it, the one, so. I'll-
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to open up NOI 0282859 at 10 Point Road. Salvatore and Nancy Vigorito, represented by John Judd of Gateway Consultants, Inc. Do we have a representative?
Yep, I am promoting John now.
Okay.
Good evening, members of the commission, Madam Chair. For the record, John Judd, engineer with Gateway Consultants representing Sal and Nancy Vigorito tonight for this property at 10 Point Road. We do have in the audience Chip Nyland, who I believe has submitted a memorandum toward the history of this project. I know when our last meeting took place, that was back in August, and thank you for all the continuances while we could formulate some responses relative to the history of the project. As you know, there was a previous notice of intent that was filed, and there was some questions about that. That was from back in 2017. And also there was some question about the coastal bank and the FEMA flood zone, which we've been working with the specialists on that from the Woods Hole group. So if it's possible, Chuck, maybe we can promote, or if not, let Chip Nyland maybe give us an update on where he is historically with this project, and maybe go over that letter if that's okay. Madam Chair, I guess I'm asking you that question.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Thank you.
Well, good evening. Chip Nyland, representing the Vigoritos, as John indicated. Tough act to follow, those interesting comments from the citizens. Anyway, as John said, we continued this starting back in August, because we've engaged the Woods Hole group to look at the VE zone, which is 31 in this area, and which is clearly higher than it should be. There have been a couple other properties on Wingersheek that have reduced it, but became pretty clear to me after the last meeting that this is going to be a longer process to get through that VE zone change. So we should just proceed with this notice of intent. And at the last meeting, there was a suggestion that back in, oh, and by the way, I thank Chuck, because after the last meeting, I was able to access the commission files to take a look at what took place back in 2017, access the building department's files, and I put together a chronology in a letter that I sent to the commission. And to give you the bird's eye or the Reader's Digest version, the concern that we heard at the last meeting was that in 2017, after the Vigoritos bought this single-story home and submitted a notice of intent for work on the patio and stairs and inserting the tight tanks, that we knocked down the entire house without coming back to the commission and destroyed the house and didn't get an order of conditions for that. And the documents that I've looked at and the pictures that I've looked at, even in the commission's files, don't support that position. So what took place is I indicated, even though, by the way, I don't think this is irrelevant to the notice of intent, because as John has indicated, the notice of intent tonight is for a second floor, and that second floor is above the VE zone. But since there were a lot of issues that were raised that suggested that things took place in 2018, 2019 that were inappropriate or incorrect, I thought that I would address those, because we really don't have an issue for tonight for the second floor, because as I said, it's above the VE zone and there are no resource area implications. So anyway, what happened back in 2017, after they purchased the house and they put the notice of intent together, and the Conservation Commission issued an order of conditions, and all these things are attached to my letter. They started doing the work on the stairs and the interior work, and they found that there's considerable rot in walls and around windows. So they invited the building inspector out, and they invited the conservation agent out, who was Ken at the time. And it was determined that additional work needed to take place, but that no new notice of intent was required. However, ultimately, a new different building permit was issued that allowed the work to take place on the walls and windows and interior work, and to replace a roof, which incidentally, due to the facing of the shoreline, had actually blown off in the no-name storm. So there was this building permit was issued. There was no notice of intent required, and the building wasn't knocked down. The house wasn't knocked down. There was a wall that was removed, and there are pictures that I've attached that came from your own files that show that there were walls that were still up and the structure was up. And so it was ultimately renovated. The building permits were closed, and an order of conditions was closed with a certificate of compliance by the Conservation Commission in 2020 and 2021. So that I just wanted to dispel the notion that the Vigoritos or anybody associated with them didn't come back to the commission and knocked down the whole building and rebuilt it without your permission. The Conservation Commission, through its agent, and the building department, everyone was involved in that process. So ultimately, the Vigoritos, who are now proud grandparents of having expanded family, and now they're seeking to add a second floor, and that's what is that's what's in front of you. So I'm here to answer any questions that you may have with respect to the history, and John can continue in terms of how we meet the performance standards for the work for the second floor.
Okay, thank you, sir. John, did you have anything else to add before I open this up for public comment?
No, Madam Chair, I'd be happy to answer any questions where we left off back at the last hearing. Thank you.
Okay, then I'll open this up for public comment. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to comment on the project at 10 Point Road, NOI 0282859?
Got one hand up, Joel Pavaza.
Okay,
Good evening. For the record, this is Joel Pavaza, an attorney at Seaside Legal Solutions. I am here tonight on behalf of Barbara Friedbertig. She is the immediate abutter. I've spoken on her behalf previously to this matter. You have in your file an extensive letter that was provided to Bill Sanborn back in 2020. Since then, you've received a letter dated December 2nd from Attorney Nyland, and I'm not going to go through the rehashing of the blow by blow, but the end result is, despite what you are being told tonight, you are being misled. This is not a separate, subsequent second floor addition that happened to just, come out of thin air after some grandkids come along. If you go back to the very first permits they filed when they first redid this house, those giant beams were in place. Again, Attorney Nyland says those were needed to hold the roof on. I'm not a contractor, I'm not a structural engineer, but I think we all know you don't put giant beams like that just to hold a roof up. There are other ways to tie a roof down than giant metal beams. John Judd went and got a 3-bedroom septic system. The first floor only has 1 bedroom. And once you look at that, the second floor moves that bedroom upstairs with 2 more. There's the 3 bedrooms they were talking about. There are deck posts that were constructed when the deck was repaired, and they were left long. They go up through, well beyond in height where you would expect them to cut off. And wouldn't you know, they line up exactly with the deck posts on the second floor deck. And if you go back to a site plan, again, it was filed with the original work, there's an indication of a roof above, talking about an anticipated second floor. The Vigoritos understood from day one that this was going to be a 2-story building, 3 bedrooms on top, 2 levels of deck on the eastern side, and they knew that the floodplain regulations would not allow them to do so because they were going to blow past the limit of how much money you can spend on a piece of on a house, on a structure inside a floodplain. And so they broke it up. Again, they, misled you and tried to say, oh, we were genuinely just doing this one renovation, and then coincidentally decided to do the second renovation. They're totally unrelated. And it's absolutely incorrect. And you have authority and a duty under the local, the Gloucester Wetlands Ordinance to manage floodplains and make sure that things are not being built in the floodplain that do not comply with FEMA flood provisions. And so, these guys kind of got away with it one time. You should not let them continue to get away with it. You can't go back and, you get a second bite at the first floor that was redone, but you can certainly say, hey, listen, we're not allowing this to get any bigger in the floodplain because the first floor does not comply and you're way beyond the limit. So I'm gonna leave it at that. It's on the board. The commission, I respectfully request to please see this for what it is. This is someone trying to pull the wool over your eyes and get away with something they are not allowed to get away with, and it's up to you to enforce it. I hope that you're able to tonight. Thank you.
okay. Is there anyone else who wishes to comment on the project at 10 Point Road?
There are currently no other hands up.
Okay, seeing no more, hearing no more, I will close the public comment period and move on to commissioner comments.
Member Charpentier,
None at this time.
Member Cook,
I'm still really concerned about what we talk about the first NOI where we allowed them to do some interior construction and the deck work. Now, to say that they didn't take down walls, you can look at it. There's 2 walls that are standing. All of those steel beams were put in. None of that was sanctioned through the commission. Now, it's fine for people to come back and say, Ken told us it was okay, or Ken told us we needed to do something. I haven't talked to Ken about this. I don't know if Ken remembers. I honestly do not think that Ken would go from, doing interior work, windows and some deck, some patio replacement, to tearing down all those walls, replacing a roof and saying, oh, we don't have to do another NOI or any other work for that. I don't believe Ken would do that. So there's a lot of hearsay going on and not a lot of documentation to support it. That said, no matter which way we go with this, it's going to either get appealed one way or the other. I'm not in favor of this. If we want to ask Chuck to reach out to Ken, see if Ken can provide something to say, yes, he approved this, that would be fine. But I'm not comfortable moving forward with this right now. And to say that the second floor is above the VE zone, well, let's go back. That first floor wasn't. And that required a whole different set of plans. So that's my thoughts on it.
Member Gradwell. You're muted, Barry. Barry? Barry, you're muted.
I have a number of items. One, particularly to the attorney. Number one, you were careful to attach the 2017 NOI, but not the 2019 RDA stating interior work only. I'm trying to find out why you would only bring in one. The exterior work was not authorized by the RDA. You said specifically interior work only. When the additional work was discovered, why didn't, and the pictures showing the tear down wasn't involved with the NOI, that was involved with the RDA. And when the additional work was discovered, why didn't the applicant request a review to upgrade the work on the exterior? Work in 2018 was an RDA and it was stated interior work only. And I would like to have some indication as to, although we did at the beginning, indicate that the review and resolve of the FEMA floodplain was going to be ignored at this time, but it was part of the letter that he presented.
Member Sargent.
I hear Commissioners Cook and Gradwell's concerns. It seems that most of these issues should be directed to inspectional services. In the last meeting, Commissioner Jackson asked for a timeline of what happened previously with this property. Thank you for providing that information. This property is in a velocity zone and has received substantial damage in the past because of that fact. Unfortunately, it's my understanding that presently we don't have a flood control ordinance and there aren't any performance standards for land subject to coastal flowage. The property owner is aware of this risk and they are taking, and we have warned them of those risks. As frustrating as it might be, we can only review the property under existing regulations, much as we had to do with the abutting property located at 8 Point Road on April 20th of this year. At that meeting, the relevant concerns that we could regulatory express was the managing of trash, orange fencing to prevent blowing trash onto the beach, silt fencing to prevent site sedimentation, and placement of a covered dumpster. I'm not happy about it, but I believe our hands are tied. Thank you.
Member Sherman.
No comments.
And Member Jackson.
Yes, I have some. Thank you, Mr. Sargent, for your comments. They echo mine. Regardless of whether there were issues with the original construction, they have a signed certificate of compliance signed by at least some of us. And we determined with the RDA that it would not impact resource areas. Therefore, as Mr. Sargent said, we're dealing with the current project, a second floor addition in a house which the commission has certified is in compliance. Existing issues have other avenues to be pursued in, and that's where that needs to go. We cannot deal with that tonight. Therefore, I don't have a problem with this, regardless of whether I have concerns about prior activity. Chuck, let's get your input.
I guess I'd have to agree. I mean, there's no current orders of conditions that are open. Everything previously has been approved and signed off with certificates of compliance. There does seem to be some very large holes in the story. I'm certainly happy to reach out to Ken if people want to try to hear what he has to say about some of the past that is not documented. I couldn't find really much of anything documenting a lot of the history on this in the files we had in the Conservation Office.
Okay. Did Mr. Judd want to respond to any of this?
If I could, Madam Chair, thank you. I just want to reiterate what I said at the last hearing that, I'm looking at the notice of intent that we had filed in 2017, and the scope of the project included the septic tank installation, patio and walkway improvements with dwelling improvements as shown on the plan. The cover letter also includes the remodeling of the existing dwelling on the same footprint. I'm not aware of any RDA that was filed for this property subsequent to that, so I can't speak to that and who filed that or what was voted on at that time. But I can say that the order, as Chuck has said, is that has been closed out is in fact that notice of intent that we filed back in 2017, which did include remodeling. I am not aware of any conversations with Ken during this project, as I was not involved during the construction process. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any further discussion of this?
So I've had my hand up for a bit, Madam
Oh, I'm
Chair.
sorry. I'm sorry. Go right ahead.
A
I
Chip
don't
Nilan
see the
again.
hands up.
I think we've addressed everything. I think John addressed Mr. Gradwell's comment. There is no RDA that was filed with respect to this work. Everything was through the notice of intent. The only thing, and look, I've done a lot of things in front of this commission and with agents. And the only thing I said with respect to Mr. Whitaker is he was clearly out on the site. He had to go out on the site in order to issue the certificate of compliance. He was aware of all the work that was taking place, and a certificate of compliance was issued, closing that out. So if he thought that there was work that was performed in violation, he would have issued an enforcement order. And that's the only thing that I can glean from the discussions. And the last thing I'll say is that ultimately the decision as to the zoning is with the building inspector, as Mr. Sargent stated right in the beginning. We need, and we can't go to see the building inspector until we see you first. So ultimately, the building inspector will determine whether or not we're spending more than half of the value of the house with this second floor, and whether that would trigger a building code compliance question. And if that's the case, we would have to come back to the commission. But we can't go see the building inspector for a building permit until we've gone through this order of conditions process. So that's why we're in front of you. We believe that we meet the FEMA requirements, and that's why we're seeking an order of conditions. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, commissioners, any further discussion? Speak now. Okay,
Uh,
in that
just-
case,
I'm just gonna point this out. I mean, we do keep talking about the tight tanks, but the tight tanks were never installed. I just want to point that out.
And I did also want to just clarify the certificate of compliance was actually something that Agent Lennon had done. So there was a gap there between Agent Whitaker and Agent Lennon.
okay, thank you. I think we're ready to close the public hearing, Linda, if you want to do so.
Yes, Charpentier moves to close the public hearing for NOI 0282859 10 Point Road.
Gradwall seconds.
Roll call, Member Charpentier,
Yes,
Member Cook,
Yes,
Member Gradwell,
Yes,
Member Sergeant,
Yes.
Member Sherman,
Yes.
and Member Jackson.
Yes. Linda,
Charpentier moves to approve NOI 0282859 at 10 Point Road.
Gradwall seconds.
Roll call, Member Charpentier,
Yes,
Member Cook,
no,
Member Gradwell,
No,
Member Sergeant,
Yes.
Member Sherman,
Abstain.
and Member Jackson.
yes. And that doesn't pass, does it, Chuck?
Nope.
2-2.
Because Bob counts as a member of the commission if he abstains. So it's 3-3. It's not, it's 3-2 to 1. But there is not a majority yes vote.
yeah, well.
Yes, there is.
I think the abstention rule takes him out and it'd be 2 noes and 3 yeses.
I agree
No,
with you.
recusal takes you out. You're not counted as a member if you recuse. In an abstention, you are counted as being present. And it's usually because you have insufficient information to make a decision. Therefore, there is not a majority of the vote.
I think we've been through this, a couple times recently, and I could be wrong, but I believe that since we have a quorum and the majority, there were more yes votes than no votes. I think it
Yes. No, because Rob is recused, so there are only 6 members of the commission tonight. You have to have a majority of those 6 members. We do not have a majority. So I think we'll leave it at that, Mr. Judd. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I didn't know if Attorney Nyland had any comment on this. You're muted, Chuck.
It's been closed at this point,
Oh,
so
wait a minute. The public hearing has been closed. I'm sorry. A
All
vote
right,
has been
thank-
taken and the public hearing has been closed.
Thank you very much.
Okay, yep. All right, thank you, and we'll move on.
Hello? Am I
Hey,
back?
Rob.
Okay, next up. We are at notice of intent 28-2882 105 East Main Street. Francis McCormick, construction of 4 commercial units, 6 storage units, associated drainage, utility connections and driveway, all within LSCSF. John Judd, Gateway Consultants representing. The way I understand it, we're only discussing a continuation date, if I'm not mistaken.
that's correct, yes. Because of the procedural of the last meeting, we closed the public comment period. So the commission will have to vote to reopen the public comment period. And if that vote is passed, then the applicant is going to have to notify the abutters, and we'll have to repost the notification that the public comment period will be opened for a future meeting. So we can ask Mr. Judd if he'd be prepared to do the notification prior to the next meeting. We can get that in tomorrow for the notification in the paper, but we'll need to have the commission vote on whether they want to reopen the public comment period.
Thank you.
The public hearing, Chuck, right?
I'm sorry, the public hearing, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So are we moving?
Commis-
I didn't
yeah.
think we were doing anything except asking the applicant to put in for a new date to have an open to reopen the hearing.
The commission needs to vote if they want to allow this first, and then we can ask the applicant the date.
Okay, understood. Roll call. vote.
Commissioner Jackson moves to reopen the public hearing for NOI 0282882 at 105 East Main Street.
Ms. Charpentier seconds?
Roll call, member Charpentier,
Yes?
member Cook,
Yes,
member Gradwell,
yes,
member Sargent,
Yes.
member Sherman,
yes,
member Gullah,
Yes.
and member Jackson.
Yes.
So Mr. Judd, when would you like to continue this to?
If we could, Mr. Chairman, if we could go to the next meeting, we'll get the notifications out in the mail tomorrow, certified mail.
Okay.
You'll get the notice.
What day?
23rd? 22nd?
23rd? Is that what we're looking at?
22nd? No, wait a minute.
I'm sorry.
21?
Nobody has a calendar with them?
December 21st.
21.
All right. Is that okay, Mr. Judd, the 21st?
Yes, that's perfect. Thank you. We'll get those notifications out. Thank you.
All right, let's move that. Move to continue.
We're not continuing because we haven't opened at this point. So it's a re-notification and
Okay, thank you very much. Have a good night. Well, actually, I'll be back later. Thanks.
So what do we do now, Jack? We're good for now?
we're good for now. Yeah. We'll open it to the 21st.
Notice of intent 28-2885, 16 Juniper Road, Robert and Margaret LeBlanc, superficial repairs to existing licensed concrete pier and steps in front of riverfront area, coastal resource area, and LSCSF. Bill Manuel of Wetlands and Land Management representing. There we
Good
go.
evening, Bill Manuel here. I think this was a fairly simple project. We were waiting for the DEP file number at the last meeting, which is now issued with no comment. The file number is 28-2885. There was one open question, I believe from Commissioner Cook, about whether there be any chemicals used in the power washing, and I have reconfirmed with the marine contractor. There are no chemicals used in the power washing, and it's just an effort to sort of clean off the surface of the wall using, it would be a connection to a hose from the house. So no chemicals, just clean water. So that's it.
All right, I'll open it up for public comment. Anybody in the public who wishes to speak for or against the project at 16 Juniper Road may do so now by hitting the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen or hitting *9 on your phone or a handheld device.
We currently have 22 attendees and no hands up.
Okay, with that, Commissioner roll call comments. Make sure no one has any other questions.
Member Charpentier,
No comments.
member Cook,
no comments.
member Gradwell,
no comment,
member Sargent,
No comment.
member Sherman,
No comment.
member Villa,
No comments.
and member Jackson.
No comment.
Okay, I guess we might as well put this to a motion.
Commissioner Jackson moves to close the public hearing for NOI 0282885 at 16 Juniper Road.
Charpentier seconds.
Roll call, member Charpentier,
Yes,
member Cook,
yes,
member Gradwell,
yes,
member Sergeant,
Yes,
member Sherman,
yes,
member Gullah,
Yes,
member Jackson.
Yes. Commissioner Jackson moves to approve NOI 0282885 at 16 Juniper Road.
Charpentier seconds.
Roll call, member Charpentier,
Yes,
member Cook,
yes,
member Gradwell,
yes,
member Sergeant,
yes,
member Sherman,
yes,
member Gullah,
yes.
Member Jackson.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up, new business. Notice of intent 28-2880, 6 Stanwood Point. Joseph Pellich, to construct a dock and float in Little River, riverfront area, BVW, Salt Marsh, and LSCSF. Mary Rimmer of Rimmer Environmental Consulting LLC requests a continuation to January 4th, 2023.
Commissioner Jackson moves to continue NOI 0282880 at 6 Stanwood Point to the Conservation Commission meeting of January 4th, 2023.
Charpentier seconds.
Roll call, member Charpentier,
Yes,
member Cook,
yes,
member Gradwell,
yes,
Sergeant,
yes,
member Sherman,
yes,
member Gullah,
Yes.
member Jackson.
Yes.
Okay, next up, notice of intent 28-2884, 284 Atlantic Street. Stephen Claus, construction of a retaining wall in existing yard and removal of deteriorated field stone wall in Coastal Bank, Coastal Beach, and LSCSF. Mark Georgian of First Water Engineering LLC representing.
I'm promoting Mark now.
You there, Mark?
Just
Hello?
let me in.
Yep. There you
Hello,
are. Name and address for
Mark
the record, sir.
Mark Georgian, First Water Engineering.
Okay. Brief explanation of what you're trying to do, and I guess we can put some drawings up.
Sure. I should share screen. All
If you'd like
right. Share. Okay. Can you hear me? Can you see my screen?
Waiting for you to share a screen. There it goes.
Okay, so it seems like people in the area are generally familiar, with this project. There's a existing wall that was put in place by the previous owners prior to the current owners purchasing the property. As you can see, it is just field stone, wet set, and it was built right on the grade. And as far as we know, there's no permitting was done for it. So what we're trying to do is remedy that. We want to get rid of the wall, and the owner is interested in raising his grade and leveling his lawn a bit and facilitating maintenance and landscaping with a small retaining wall set landward of the bank. There's a couple different ways that we had to go back and look at where the historic bank used to be. I won't get into the details, but basically this is where the GIS layers showed it. I took some older data for the slope in that area from LiDAR and extended it back to where it would meet the definition under the 92-1 definitions for the coastal bank. And that's how I came up with the location. And from there, I set the proposed wall back landward of that bank with a few feet to allow for construction without disturbing the actual bank. So briefly, the project will remove the wall, do minor regrading, like right there, for example, just to smooth it out to be consistent with what it appears like it's supposed to be. And then we'd be putting in a retaining wall and retaining some fill.
Okay. First, I'll open up for public comment. Does anybody in the public wishes to speak for or against the project at 284 Atlantic Street? You may do so by hitting the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen, or hitting *9 on your phone or handheld device. Now, right off the bat, on the plan, it says Atlantic Road, and on the filing, it says Atlantic Street. We have both. Which one is it?
It's Atlantic Road.
Okay.
All right, we have 19 attendees and one hand up. Eric Burgess, let's talk.
Eric, can you hear us? Hello, Eric.
Unmute my Command Shift. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, I just muted myself. There we go. Eric Burgess. I am the general contractor hired by the homeowner. They purchased this home, I believe, 4 years ago, and this has always been in the back of their mind. The wall has steadily deteriorated, and to the point where I would say probably 40 to 50 feet of the inner cove end is now missing. And it's their intent to just restore the way it should have been done in the first place. So I guess that's all I have to add. They know that it was done incorrectly. They want to make things right.
Okay. Did I open up this for public comment yet or no?
I was
Okay.
the public comment, I believe.
Yes.
Oh, I think I accidentally snuck in there. Okay. Why don't we open up for public comment now to be sure? Anyone in the public who wishes to speak for or against the project that, again, this is 284 Atlantic Road, correct?
Yep.
Correct.
Anyone who wishes to speak may do so by hitting the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen or hitting *9 on your phone or handheld device. Again, this is for 284 Atlantic Road.
Yes, I believe that was the only hand that we had up, so I think that's.
Okay. Seeing none, hearing none, to close the public comment period. Why don't we do roll call comments from commissioners? Chuck?
Member Charpentier,
No comments.
Member Cook,
The only comment, it's really a question, is what type of material are they planning to refill the slope going down from the new retaining wall to say where the old one was? What type of material is that?
Member Gradwell,
Okay, yeah.
Just reassurance that this is not armoring the bank.
Member Sargent,
I'll raise the question, like what the applicant has delineated as a present day coastal bank being instead a cobble dune that has been impacted by the illegally built and crumbling seawall. The pictures that were provided seem to indicate that could be the case. However, that issue is really moot, as the historic coastal bank before the crumbling seawall was constructed is proposed to be used in the delineation of this project. Because the seawall is proposed to be only 18 inches from the top of the historic coastal bank, I'm wondering if there will be weep holes in the seawall, and if this drainage conceivably would have an impact on the top of the historic coastal bank. And I'm wondering if the footings for the seawall and the proposed stairs also will be above the historic coastal bank. And how much impervious surface is being proposed within the 100-foot buffer zone to the coastal bank? What mitigation is proposed for this increase in impervious surface? And what are the proposed plantings within the 100-foot buffer zone to the coastal bank? How many plantings, and are they salt-tolerant native plantings? And is there a monitoring plan for planting mortalities? Thank you.
Member Sherman,
I guess my thoughts are that, this existing wall, you're replacing an illegally built wall, perhaps because that original wall was a bad idea to begin with. And I'm just wondering if there are other softer solutions to addressing this shoreline other than building another retaining wall and adding fill behind it.
Member Gola?
Nothing more so than what was already mentioned.
Member Jackson?
My only question is a technical one. Are we out of compliance with noticing by having published notices under Atlantic Street and not Atlantic Road?
Yeah.
Since we have both.
Well, on the plus side, we have no DP. Oh, we do have a DP number. I was gonna say we wouldn't be able to pass it. All right, we'll have to cross that bridge. I would assume we're into it now. We just won't be able to move it one way or the other tonight till we deal with that issue. But I think we have bigger fish to fry at this point anyways, so.
Let's look at that. I did also have a couple questions, if I may.
Yep.
I am curious, there were some extensive DEP comments. I'm not sure if you had a chance to review those or not.
No.
And I also shared Member Sargent's question about, is this really bank or are we dealing with a cobble gravel dune adjacent to a cobble gravel beach? There is a sand dune where the sand beach is, and that kind of extends and turns into what could be a gravel cobble dune with a gravel cobble beach. I'm a little confused by all this talk about the historic bank. Leaves me begging the question, well, what's there now? If there's no bank there now, then what are we left dealing with? What is the resource there? The delineation of that was done by LiDAR using 2013, 2014 data. Looking back at the historical photos on Google Earth, it looks like there started to do some extensive filling in that area back in 2005, 2008, kind of putting a lot of moving material from the site out, and then it looks like a lot of fill in closer to where that existing wall is. So I'm not sure that the 2013, 2014 LiDAR data would really capture what that area historically looked like. So to call it a historic bank location, I guess I'm curious what point of history we're looking at. There were also some questions that DEP brought up talking about driving piles. I assume that was left over from a previous, maybe using this as a template. So that I think there's some language in the proposal that was a little misleading.
I had sent a revised copy to you guys. I noticed that the day after. I think probably just either got sent out right away or the one that's on record. I think it should be clear.
I think there was still some language in there about driving piles. It seemed inconsistent with the project. And I guess I had a question too about the having been out there looking at that wall, the material, the cobble in that wall looked pretty consistent with what was adjacent to it on the ground. Curious, you said it was fieldstone. I'm wondering if it was actually native to the site, and if so, removing that cobble, if it was native to the site, seems like it would be a loss of stuff that probably would be appreciated by the landowner and other folks as something that would help that area. So I guess I'm curious if your intent is to remove it all, or if there would be the option of breaking it up to leave those cobbles in place if they are in fact native. So that's what I have.
Okay, sir. So you have a bunch of questions in front of you, Mark.
Yes.
We're going to have to continue, I'm sure, but
Yeah.
let's see what you got and
Sure. All right, so working back with the fieldstone, I want to address that one because I think it's very straightforward. Yeah, I agree. Fieldstone just as the term of a rounded native stone. I assume what they did for that wall, based on looking at it, I came to the same conclusion. They took material from the site and just put it together right there. I share the same concern about, we want the property owner would enjoy having more material in there. I'm hoping not to complicate the project by importing new material. So I wasn't proposing to do that if it's a reasonable request if the commission prefers it. As far as breaking up the stone goes, we would still have, it's very hard to get rid of all the concrete that would be around it. I think a different alternative to just breaking it up and replacing it might be to bury it so that it's covered with the typical stones in the area. But instead we break up that wall and bury it in the same vicinity, so we have the same volume, but it's not the mobilized portion, because it does seem that there, even though those stones are pretty big, it does seem like they move around a bit up and down. So those are my thoughts on the Fieldstone. I'm open to suggestions for how the commission would prefer to see that go. My thinking was I wanted to avoid disturbing the bank from where it is now. But definitely not opposed, and I didn't want to bring up questions about if we're trying to sneak in an armored revetment or something like that by saying, let's bring in all this stone. So like I said, open to your suggestions on that. As far as the bank delineation that you mentioned goes, so yeah, it's hard. It's difficult to choose a perfect method or a perfect data set for the establishing where the bank once was. When I refer to the historic bank, it's where I estimated it is based on the data. I looked at different information. I attempted to incorporate some old surveys from about 2005 when the construction was underway. They didn't quite have the data that I needed. We took the delineation with the DEP, digital coastal bank layer, and that looked like it was the less conservative approach. I did see the sand and whatnot shifting around in the Google Earth photos that were earlier than that. My impressions were that they did the construction and then someone said, let's put a beach out here, and then they put sand there, and then I think the sand pretty much disappeared probably every single year because it's you can see that it's not a sandy component of the beach because it just gets carried off to the deeper into the pocket beach. So that's my basis for the delineation. I did look at some other alternatives. I didn't see, this is what looked like it made the most sense to me, and it seemed like it was more conservative than the digitized layer from the state. As far as the dune question goes, to me it's doesn't seem like a dune because it just goes up and then that's the elevation, so it seemed like a bank because it doesn't drop back down and have a coastal barrier, or it doesn't have it does turn into a coastal barrier towards the margin of the property. And that was a determination made in part with the state's information. This is where it turns to a barrier beach, and this part that's got more of the wetland behind it, which makes sense, right? So it fits the definition of a barrier beach that's going up, and then it's got this retained wet area behind it. So that, I think we go from a barrier beach to a rocky intertidal shore with a cobble and boulder slope for a bank. Let's see. Let's go back to this one. And got going through the other comments here. We've got softer solution. Yeah, well, the idea what we have for this approach is we want to leave the bank better than we found it. So we're taking the wall out. We're going to return it to a normal grade. We're going to allow for a little bit of an area at the top that's beyond where the bank was, and then when we're in the land subject to coastal storm flowage, we're going to do the work up there. Hopefully, we're in the buffer zone. We are not anticipating negative impacts to the bank here. Yeah, we will have weep holes, and that is, we will have weep holes as shown here. And that's intended to allow water that would have once, that's a lot to allow water to continue to move through the soil as it once would have. For example, when it rains, comes down here, some might flow off, and some would go into the ground. That's the same thing that would be happening. That's the same general process that would be happening if there was not a wall there. We want to have enough porosity in that wall to allow that to happen. So that we think that it's a reasonable approach. It will provide a nice level area for the homeowner. It'll have aesthetic value. It'll it will provide an area to have a clear boundary from where it's a more of a maintained landscape to where it's more wild. While we have this little extra buffer here to have a bit of a wild zone. As far as plantings go, yeah, we're anticipating salt tolerant plantings. But bear in mind, this is a fairly, even though there's some vegetation that looks nice out there, that looks like it's salt tolerant plantings, not necessarily all native at the moment, that is in that retained sand. And so you asked what was out there before. I mean, my impression is that they put this wall here, then filled in behind it, and then the wall had no foundation and appeared to be built with no planning, and it broke, undermined, and then it was, when you're out on the site, you could see that you can see that it's, excuse me, you can see here how the wall broke, and then all this apparent retained material is. What's that?
You don't have your own screen share anymore.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think we got a pretty big agenda tonight.
Yeah. I'm just trying to get through all the questions so we can be set up for the next.
We're gonna have to continue anyway, so I suggest, this is an earth-shattering project. We've seen 100 of these. You
Yeah.
need to basically put everything you've done. Yours is somewhat unique in certain aspects. But I would just take all those questions you just wrote down, put them into a continuation for the next meeting, and hopefully we can wrap it up then. But there's obviously an opportunity here for a soft solution if possible. It might be a better resilient system, but you got a lot of bullets. I think if you're just kind of clean up the package a little bit and we can review it next meeting, that'd be great.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Another thing this commission does not do, and we shouldn't do, we can't give you suggestions of which way to go with things.
Yeah.
You present the project, we say yes or no. That's how it goes.
No, absolutely, and I appreciate that. But I'm happy at least we had an opportunity to signal that we're not trying to armor armor the shore in a way that's going to interfere with it. So I'm glad we've had that conversation. I'm curious if Mr. Sargent, if I could get a copy of those questions, if you have them after, if you could send them or make them public. We had a lot there. I want to make sure I don't miss any of yours. I think I was able to get the others.
Absolutely.
There's
Awesome.
also comments.
I can send them to Chuck and he can send them to you, or.
Yep, I can do that.
Okay.
There's also a comment from DEP regarding the fill in the land subject to coastal storm flowage and wanting some kind of a storm water analysis on how that might affect the flow of coastal storm flowage.
Okay.
And also having the that wall there, how that might change the reflection. So just I'd review those DEP comments as well.
Yeah.
I did also double check the legal notice that went out in the paper was for 284 Atlantic Road. So we just had an error on the agenda that was posted.
Okay.
Great.
Okay, so we're gonna, is 2 weeks enough time for you, sir, Mark? Do you want another 2 weeks?
Let's shoot for 2 weeks.
Okay. All right. Why don't we move?
Okay. Yep. Commissioner Jackson moves to continue NOI 0282884 at 284 Atlantic Road to the Conservation Commission meeting of, what is it, December 7th,
21st.
21st?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought he said 2 weeks. He
Today's-
didn't say,
That's
oh,
the
today's the 7th, I'm sorry.
Hello.
Yes, to December 21st,
I'm having-
2022, I've got the year right.
Charpentier seconds.
Roll call, member Charpentier,
Yes.
member Cook,
Yes,
member Gradwell,
Yes,
member Sergeant,
Yes.
member Sherman,
Yes.
member Gola,
Yes.
and member Jackson.
Yes.
All right, Mark, we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
All right, see you then. Thank you.
Okay, next up, RDA 1750 68R Poplar Park. David Holden, Gloucester Housing Authority, replacement of existing paved sidewalks in disrepair and minor regrading to ensure ADA compliance in riverfront area, LSCSF, and buffer zone to Babson Reservoir. Joseph White of the BSC Group representing. Maybe here.
Promoting Joe now.
Mr. White, Joe, can you hear us? There he is.
I can, thank you.
Name and address for the record.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Name and address for the record, please.
Yes, so my name, as you said, is Joseph White with BSC Group. I'm a civil engineer, and we are representing the Gloucester Housing Authority on this project.
Okay,
So Gloucester Housing Authority recently got some state funding for several of their sites in Gloucester to do some repaving and site improvements. This is one of the 3 sites. Can I actually share my screen? Is that possible? So I had a couple pictures too.
Yep.
Okay. So this is Poplar Park. I don't know how familiar the commission is with this particular site.
we all know it.
Okay, so as I said, repaving project, a lot of the sidewalks out here are in disrepair and, you know, we're proposing kind of a full depth replacement, so sub-base and repaving. And, you know, when we say regrading, the regrading part of this is really just at the individual kind of stoops of each door here. Some of these vary in height from almost flush with the sidewalk to, you know, over 6 inches, 8 inches. They kind of vary building to building. So our goal is just to make those consistent, a consistent height that meets the ADA requirements. As you can see, a lot of these walkways are in tough shape. We're not proposing new sidewalks. So it is strictly a regrading project. And we know that the site, portions of the site are within FEMA Zone A and AE, as well as in the buffer zone to nearby wetlands. And our basis for hoping for negative determination here is just the scope of work that we're proposing, as it is repaving and not adding new impervious areas. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions from the commission or any of the public.
Okay, thank you. I hope that snow, these pictures are from a long time ago because I saw some snow on the ground.
Yeah, these are from last spring, April, I think. I was out here, so.
You got it. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'll open up for public comment first. Anyone in the public who wishes to speak for or against the project at 68R Poplar Park may do so now by hitting the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen or hitting *9 on your phone or handheld device.
There are currently 14 attendees present and there are no hands up.
Seeing none, hearing none, I'll close the public comment period. Why don't we go on to Commissioner roll call comment?
Member Charpentier,
Fairly straightforward to me and no additional impervious. I'm good with it.
Yes, that's correct.
Member Cook,
No comments.
Member Gradwell,
No comment.
Member Sargent,
Thank you for making repairs in order to meet ADA compliance. Thank you.
Member Sherman. Oh, you're muted.
No comments.
Member Gulla,
No comment.
Member Jackson,
No comment.
Okay, with that then, if there are no more comments, no public comment speaking, so why don't we move to close the hearing? Oh, it's an RDA. So we're looking for a negative determination.
But didn't we give an opportunity for public comment?
I did.
Yeah,
You
we
did.
have to close the public hearing too.
Oh, I'm
Okay.
sorry. You're
Yeah,
right.
all right, thanks. I'm getting confused there. All right, Commissioner Jackson moves to close the public hearing for RDA 1750 at 68R Poplar Park.
Linda,
Charpentier seconds.
roll call. Member Charpentier,
Yes.
Member Cook,
Yes.
Member Gradwell,
Yes.
Member Sargent,
Yes.
Member Sherman,
Yes.
Member Gulla,
yes.
and Member Jackson.
Yes. Commissioner Jackson moves for a negative determination for RDA 1750 at 68R Poplar Park.
Charpentier seconds.
Roll call. Member Charpentier,
Yes.
Member Cook,
Yes.
Member Gradwell,
Yes.
Member Sargent,
Yes.
Member Sherman,
Yes.
Member Gulla,
Yes.
and Member Jackson.
Yes.
All right, sir. You're all set.
Thank you very much. Have a good night, everybody.
You too.
Next up, notice of intent 28-2886 58 Woodwood Ave. Good luck if I get this right. Ronald Squillicati. Removal of deteriorated deck and construction of an open deck, screen porch, bathroom in riverfront area and LSCF. I don't know if there's anyone here to represent.
Yep, I am promoting Ron now.
Hello, Ron. Ron?
Yep, there we go. The mute off. Can you
Yes,
see
we
me?
can.
There we go.
I hope I didn't butcher your name.
Squillicati.
Oh, I did butcher it.
That was
So,
close. Thank you.
name and address for the record, sir? Name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Ronald Squillicati, living at 58 Woodward Ave, the owner of the property.
Brief description?
Yes, we're removing a deteriorated deck and replacing it with a construction of a new open deck and a screened-in porch with a bathroom above a existing utility room.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll open it up for public comment first. Anybody in the public who wishes to speak for or against the project at 58 Woodwood Ave may do so now by hitting the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen or hitting *9 on your phone or handheld device.
Currently have 14 attendees and there are no hands up.
Seeing none, hearing none, a closed public comment period. Next up is commissioner comment, roll call comments.
Member Charpentier,
I just want to confirm that we're not adding any impervious here.
So, Ron, we're gonna go through all the questions first. You gotta take
Okay.
them, and then you can respond when we're done, okay?
All right.
Member Cook,
Yeah, the same question, did we increase the number of impervious and on the deck, is it going to be open so that it allows drainage, or it's gonna be a solid deck with no roof?
Member Gradwell?
No further comment.
Member Sergeant?
I agree with my fellow commissioners' concerns.
Member Sherman?
No additional comments.
Member Gullo?
No additional comments.
And Member Jackson?
Point of order, we have an alternatives analysis.
Okay.
He's in riverfront area. We need to address that.
Okay.
Yes, you did provide an alternatives analysis.
All right, so, well, did you have anything to add, Joe, just to wrap
No,
up?
no, I was also concerned about the amount of impervious surface.
So do we want to, well, we just skipped a beat there, Ron. We needed to do a alternatives vote first to see if this project's going to impact the riverfront. So we should do that now, correct, Joe?
Yes. Commissioner Jackson moves to approve the alternatives analysis for NOI 0282886 at 58 Woodward Ave.
Roll call, Member Charpentier?
Yes,
Member Cook?
Yes.
Member Gradwell?
Yes,
Member Sergeant?
Yes.
Member Sherman?
Yes,
Member Gullo?
Yes,
And Member Jackson?
Yes.
excellent. So really the only question it looks like here, Ron, is are we adding any more impervious? When it rains, has anything you've done impeded rain from getting into the ground? Are your deck boards open so the rain can get through it?
Yes, the deck boards would have a gap in them.
Okay. Are there any new roofs being added?
What's that again?
Any new roof being added?
Well, only on the screened in porch area.
And how big is that screened in porch area?
It's 200 square feet.
Okay. So the only thing we need to do here is you're in riverfront and we have to mitigate. So your roof is impeding nature's ability to allow rain to come down and go into the ground and be filtered. So the additional roof has to be mitigated for, and that usually comes with the plantings.
Right. In one of the next drawings, it shows gutter system with drain down to under the porch area where there'll be crushed stone for a drainage into the topsoil.
Okay, so what we need you to do is less of what we call, that's like a recharge. We have a policy, well, not, it's riverfront, so it really isn't policy. But you have to mitigate plantings for that offset, that 200 square feet. So what we need from you is a small planting plan, just showing plantings towards the riverfront area to offset this roof that you're going to be putting on to help offset the loss of drainage you're creating off the roof.
Okay.
And did you mention that it needs to be 2 to 1, Rob?
I didn't mention that yet. So it
Okay,
needs to be 2 to 1. So basically you need 400 square feet of plantings to offset the 200 square foot of roof that you've added.
Okay. I do address that on one of the pages at the end that shows a present landscaping scheme that we presently have. Charles, can you pull that up?
Yeah, let me find it here. I did want to clarify that you do show 221 square feet of additional roof service, and then you do have the 8 sonotubes. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So it'll be closer to 229 square feet of additional impervious surface. And
So 455.
You have that landscape drawing? Oh, okay.
Okay.
Because over the years, the way the property is described, it's a terrace system. It has a terrace system. So from the road, which is at the lower end, to the river, which is at the top of the page, there are 3 levels of terracing, which has areas where the water from the road will goes down into these terraced areas, which has a lot of plantings, and and there's a lot of gravel to allow the waters and that land on the property to go mitigate and go into the soil instead of along the surface. And against the seawall, there's a 3-foot gravel that allows any water any water on the surface to mitigate down through the soil instead of taking the soil down into the marsh. I'm not sure if it's only 10,000 square feet for the property. An additional 200 or 250 square feet of plantings is a little bit difficult. And especially
It's unfortunate. I mean, we have a
there's
policy,
enough-
but it's not riverfront, but it's riverfront. So it's pretty cut and dry that unfortunately, whatever you've created additionally to date in impervious has to be offset with mitigation. I shouldn't say have to, but needs to be. So the only thing I could suggest is that at this point, we continue to the next meeting and give you a chance to just add a few more to this site, try and get as close as you can to the required amount. Actually, I shouldn't say close as you can. You have to get that. I hate to be this way, but we have to meet the mitigation standards. If I allow you to do it or the board says yes to as close as you can get, it's gonna come back to bite. So we're gonna have
I just don't know where to put it. The only areas that could be and more plantings would be in the green areas, and all around the house, all around the stone walls is all plantings already. And
the only thing I would suggest.
unless I have some irrigation, I can't plant. I have a hard time watering all this. Last year during the summer drought, right? Unless I can put in some irrigation to keep these plants wet,
Okay, I hear
there's
you.
really no reason to.
Let me speak, please. So
Okay,
what
go ahead.
we do is, Chuck, if you can go, we trust it, not that we don't trust you, but Ron, but Chuck might have a better look at what's out there. You or Devin can go out to the site, take a peek. He may literally have no place to put plantings. It has happened once or twice. And report back to us, and then we can visit it at the next meeting.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
You got, is that okay, Chuck? Does that make sense to you or what?
Yep.
Okay, then with that, we're gonna have to move to continue to the next meeting, which is December 21st. Is that okay, Ron?
Yep, that would be fine.
Okay.
Would Charles or Devin be able to make a visit by then, or?
Chuck?
I hate to put you in that position, but
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yep.
Okay, I'll make
thank
it.
you.
We'll talk to you tomorrow and figure out a date.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner
Thank you,
Jackson,
everyone.
whoops.
Thank you.
Commissioner Jackson moves to continue NOI 0282886 at 58 Woodward Ave to the Conservation Commission meeting of December 21st, 2022.
Carpenter seconds.
Roll call, Member Charpentier,
Yes.
Member Cook,
Yes.
Member Gradwell,
Yes,
Member Sargent,
Yes.
Member Sherman,
Yes.
Member Villa,
Yes.
and Member Jackson.
Yes.
All right, we'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you. Next up. Notice of intent to, these numbers never drop, Chuck?
They did not know. I checked them just before I left the office.
So next up is notice of intent 28, no DEP number, 2 State Pier, Claire King, Mass Development, replacement of power pedestals, fender piles, timber camels, jib crane, and repairs to fender system in designated port area, land under ocean, land containing shellfish, coastal bank, and CSF. Nick Henke, HDR Engineering, Inc., representing. Nick, are you there?
You should be promoting now. And there's also a couple other folks.
Hello, sir.
Yep, I'm here. Good evening. For the record, Nick Henke, environmental scientist with HDR Engineering, based out of our 99 High Street office in Boston. Also joined by Patrick Scally, Mass Development, Director, Marine Facilities and Operations. He's the project manager. And Brian Jones, also with HDR. He's the engineering lead on the project.
So,
All right. Can the group see the cover of our NOI?
Yeah.
Okay.
just so you know, we don't have a DEP number. I'm sure you know that, so we're gonna have to continue no matter what.
Understood. Do you want me to present?
Yes, please.
Okay. So the project will take place at the Jodrey State Pier, located in Gloucester Inner Harbor. It's owned by Mass DCR, operated and managed by Mass Development. The facility supports a 54-slip marina for boats up to 100 feet in length. It also has 3 berths for ships up to 145 feet in length. It houses a 5,000 square foot office building, 50,000 square foot fish processing facility, and a 40,000 square foot freezer facility. The pier has experienced some deterioration over the years, several elements in need of repair or replacement. That includes replacement of power pedestals, as mentioned, fender piles, camels, and a half-ton jib crane amongst some other miscellaneous repairs to the fender system, and those elements are what bring us here this evening. So the footprint impacts will be limited to the fender pile pulling and replacement, and will take place within the land under the ocean, designated port area, land containing shellfish, coastal bank, and land subject to coastal storm flowage. Although taking place within these jurisdictional resources, the impacts will be temporary, performed behind turbidity curtains, and not result in any net change within these resource areas. Mass Development is seeking an order of conditions approving the replacement of all timber fender piles on site, and is doing so as a means to allow some flexibility in selecting priority piles for replacement as needed over the full term of the approval. The rate of degradation of timber piles can be unpredictable, and Mass Development believes this strategy would allow for reprioritizing of piles for replacement should conditions warrant doing so, without the need for to repeatedly appear in front of the commission for amendments or additional approvals. And so with that, our team is here this evening, ready to field any questions you may have.
Okay, first up, I'll open it up to the public. Anybody in the public who wishes to speak for or against the project at 2 State Pier may do so by hitting the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen, or hitting *9 on your phone or handheld device.
You currently have 10 attendees and there are no hands up.
Seeing none here, I'm going to close the public comment period. Why don't we go to roll call, commissioner comments?
Member Charpentier.
We have a letter from the Shellfish.
We can't hear you.
I said, do we have a letter in the file from the Shellfish Warden?
I believe we do. I definitely did consult with the Shellfish and Harbor Master, and neither of them had any issues with this project. We did also receive a late letter from DMF as well. That should be
DMF had some pointed comments, nothing too over the top. Okay, continue, Chuck. Sorry.
All right, Member Cook.
It sounds like this is gonna be some type of maintenance plan that's gonna be done on a regular basis. Because it sounded like you don't want to have to come before us. Is this one of those things that the order of it should be listed as like in perpetuity as a maintenance plan? versus just an NOI that's, you know, has like a fixed end date, basically. I mean, they could extend it continuously, but should this be something that's listed as in perpetuity? So they don't have to keep coming before us for extensions and that. Other than that, I don't have a problem with the project.
Member Gradwell.
Everything seems to be well thought out, and I like the idea of the turbidity screen, so everything's fine.
Member Sargent.
Thank you for making these repairs to support our commercial fishing fleet. It's noted that this is a limited project. It's designed to have no permanent adverse impact. And thank you for using Greenheart wood for the replacement of the piling. And I want to know how the pilings are supposed to be removed, vibrating or cut off. Thank you.
Member Sherman.
I just wasn't sure, Mr. Henke mentioned the state agency, the ownership of the state fish pier, and I just wonder if he could repeat that for me.
Member Golub.
Again, I think DMF covered the cut pile issue on what to do there, but no further comments.
And Member Jackson.
I have no additional comments or concerns.
Okay, Ms. Henke, you can respond now to those questions that are outstanding.
Okay, certainly. So, yeah, we'd certainly be an advocate if there's a way to approve this in perpetuity. We'd certainly be an advocate for that. Yeah, so I believe the goal here is to pull all piles. That's the goal. We're pulling them and replacing them in
Have
kind.
you seen the DMF letter yet?
I have, yeah, yep. I saw it this afternoon. So Mass DCR owns the property, and they've leased it to Mass Development, who manages the facility. And as it relates to the letter received this afternoon, if I could address a couple of those comments. So I saw a recommendation to use soft starts. That's pretty standard. I would maybe advocate for only requiring a soft start for the first pile of each shift. That way you wouldn't have to take the time to soft start every pile. So we'd be an advocate for that. Also, we propose the use of turbidity curtains to confine this work. And in my experience, it's been pretty routine that has alleviated the need for time of year restrictions. And so that was our goal with the use of one of our goals with the use of turbidity curtains.
Okay, well, if you're going to go that route, I mean, DMF's already made their points. We can't overrule them, or we won't. So you're either gonna have to go back to them and get them to say, yeah, this is okay for time of year. And yeah, you don't have to start, do your starts. One start at the beginning and then continue after that. You're gonna have to get them to kind of override their own comments.
Yeah, it's my understanding that Marine Fisheries is kind of offering recommendations for the commission to ultimately make the decision on. So I guess if what you're telling us is that you intend to adopt them without us revisiting with them, I guess that would be my next question.
Put it to the commission. It's not a dictatorship. So commissioners, how do you feel about this? DMF's made some comments. They're pushing back a little bit or get some do some other things a little differently. I'm open to suggestions or concerns.
I don't think it hurts for them to try to negotiate with DMF.
Okay. Anything else, commissioners?
We don't usually go against DMF. They know more than we do.
For sure.
I have a question for the chairman. Even though the DCR does not manage the property, as a seasonal DCR employee, should I be recusing myself here?
Good question. I would, out of safety, to keep yourself out of jeopardy, I would probably just recuse or abstain. It's up to you.
Okay.
Okay, so we do not have a DEP number at this time, so we have to continue anyways. So I would take that time. Is 2 weeks enough to get back together and revisit this for you gentlemen, or?
Certainly, yep.
So I would either go and talk to DMF, see what shakes out, and you can let us know in 2 weeks.
Okay, great. Thanks, everybody.
Have a great night. We have some paperwork to do here, though. So, Dan, Joe, we want to move to continue this?
Commissioner Jackson moves to continue two-state peer NOI 028 unassigned DEP number to the meeting of December 21st, 2022.
Your seconds.
Roll call, Member Charpentier,
Yes.
Member Cook,
Yes.
Member Gradwell,
yes,
Member Sargent,
yes,
Member Sherman,
Abstain.
Member Bella,
Yes.
Member Jackson.
Yes.
Okay, see you in 2 weeks. Okay, next up is notice of intent, no DEP number 267 East Main Street, Christopher Griffith, construction of 290-foot float on standoff legs with a ramp and open deck with concrete pier supports in coastal resource area, Coastal Bank, LSCSF, John Judd Gateway Consultants, Inc., representing.
Hi, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. For the record, John Judd back again for the proposal for 267 East Main Street. This is for the Gloucester Stage Company. Chuck, I'm not sure if you want to put up the plan or, yeah, thank you. Thank you. And I believe Chris Griffith, who is the director of the stage company, is here tonight as well, if there's any questions. But this is a proposal for a pervious deck to be constructed behind the dwelling, behind the structure at the bottom of the slope. Those of you who have perhaps attended events here and maybe gone back below to do some parking down there, so you may have seen this, but essentially where you have you see a proposed deck that's shown that Chuck has the cursor on. Again, that's an open pervious deck, and then the proposal is for a seasonal ramp and a float system with standoffs that would extend out into Smith Cove as shown. You have also the adjacent floats that are shown on the plan to the right and left of this proposal. And again, this is a seasonal ramp and float system with a permanent deck. In the location of that deck, presently is quite a bit of Japanese knotweed that has sort of taken over that area. Where the runoff comes down from the building and the access way. So that would be replaced by this open deck if it was approved. And so that is a brief description. It would be supported by, we'd have pilings that would be installed and that would support this open deck. I believe there's some photos, but also we did receive a letter from the DMF, and I'll let Chuck enter that if you'd like, and if there's any comments from Shellfish or Harbor Master, and we can answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'll open up for public comment first. Anyone in the public who wishes to speak for or against the project at 267 East Main Street may do so by hitting the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen or hitting *9 on your phone or handheld device.
There are currently 10 attendees and there are no hands up.
Seeing none, hearing none, I'll close the public comment period. Commissioner roll call comments, Chuck?
Member Charpentier,
Yeah, my question would be, what is the rationale for the size of that float at 290? That's 290 square feet, right?
Lineal feet.
Oh, lineal feet.
Yeah. So this is, what this does, Linda, it allows them to get out, similar to the other neighbors, it's a commercial application. It allows them to get out into Smith Cove, as there are so many other similar float systems that are out into in the Rocky Neck area.
Okay, I probably misread that. Thank you.
Member Cook,
No comments.
Member Gradwell,
No comment.
Member Sergeant,
It should be noted that Smith Cove is separated from more environmentally sensitive areas by the DPA, where a lesser environmental protection standard is applied. My concerns or conditions would be any barges or other watercraft should not be allowed to ground out during the construction of this project, and all material must be non-toxic to the marine environment. Thank you.
Member Sherman,
No comments.
Member Vella,
Yeah, I'm just a little surprised, Mr. Judd. Is there, I'm assuming obviously the harbor masters, there's plenty of relief between the other marina in here. It's not showing on the documents, that's why I can't see. I'm assuming they're not, that the harbor master has no issues with this and there's plenty of room around them.
Yeah, so I don't receive comments from the harbor master or Shellfish. That goes directly to Chuck. So I'm going to let Chuck respond to that if I could.
No, it's fine. Chuck, did we get anything from harbor master on this?
I don't know if you got a document from them. I did reach out to them on that and they did not have any issues with that. Either Shellfish or harbor master.
Okay, I'm surprised. I mean, it's not unheard of. It's just, it looks like it's so, Smith Cove's so tight already. It's impressive. I'm amazed we can fit something else, but so be it. Okay, anything else, commissioners, to add? Did we leave anything out? And Joe, I don't know if you got a chance to speak.
No, but I have no additional comments.
All right, so unless someone has anything else to add, we're gonna have to continue this. We don't have a DEP number at this time. So it's
Yeah,
next,
continue to the 21st. Mr. Judd?
Yes, please.
Okay. Commissioner Jackson moves to continue 267 East Main Street, NOI 028, unassigned DEP number to the Conservation Commission meeting of December 21st, 2022.
Carpentier seconds.
We'll call Member Charpentier,
Yes.
Member Cook,
Yes.
Member Gradwell,
Yes.
Member Sergeant,
Yes.
Member Sherman,
Yes.
Member Vella,
yes.
Member Jackson.
Yes.
Okay, we'll see you. in a
Thank you
couple-
very much.
Okay,
I will hang around for a couple of COC requests. So thank you.
Okay. Next up, we have notice of intent, 28, no DEP number 418 and through 658 Essex Ave, Boston Gas Co. installation of 9,000 feet of 12-inch natural gas line from 418 Essex Ave to 658 Essex Ave, and the installation of natural gas infrastructure from Essex Ave to the station at 418 Essex Ave in buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland and riverfront area. Kellen Kawana VHB representing, before I butcher your poor name again, man. Sorry.
No worries. Mr. Chair, I'm a butter, so I must recuse, but I also must say I haven't received any notification as in a butter. Thank you.
You did receive one or you didn't?
I have not.
Okay.
And neither have some of my neighbors.
Okay. So I also live on Essex Ave, so I also have to recuse. So, and Joe, I think you're gonna have to take the.
Okay. Okay. Sir, if you could give your name and address for the record and tell us a brief summary of the project, if a brief summary is possible.
Sure. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Great. And I know we did mail out a butter notifications. I can Chuck, I can provide some sheets for proof of that mailing if necessary. I apologize. Don't know why they would not be delivered. But my name's Kellen Consowitz. Work for VHB, and we're presenting on behalf of Boston Gas Company here. And I am gonna. Oh, sorry. Can you give me just 1 sec?
Sure.
Okay, sorry about that. My apologies. I am just going to share my screen. All right. Can everyone see the plan set on the map?
Yes.
Great. Awesome. So we're here presenting the underground natural gas line installation on Essex Ave. It's between 418 and 658. And so as you can see here along the project route, it's proposed, it stretches from the Essex town line along Essex Ave past Route 128 and then ties into an existing take station. So I'm just going to flip through the plan set here and show you the natural resource areas along the line. We have numerous bordering vegetated wetlands. We flagged 4 along the project route. Also have some riverfront area, intermittent stream, and then an ACEC and then priority habitat in the vicinity, but does not cross the project route. So you note there are some culverts called out here. Some go underneath the project line, some go across adjacent streets. In all cases that Boston Gas has surveyed, there's evidence that the line can be installed above the culvert crossing. So that is what's proposed right now. And the proposed line, it's going to be on the northern part of Essex Ave, so in the westbound lane. So here you can see we are in a buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands as we go east. And then on the next plan page is where we have what I consider kind of a more major crossing of the Walker Creek that goes underneath Essex Ave. As mentioned, we're planning to go over the culvert there, but you can see there is a little snippet of riverfront area in here. And also you can see the pink line is the local 300-foot buffer to the ACEC, the Great Marsh, I believe it is, north of Essex Ave. So as we keep on going on the third plan page, you can see the priority habitat that is adjacent to the project site. Again, proposing no impacts to any priority habitat past another border vegetated wetland. And then underneath Route 128, and then it ties into the existing take station located off of Essex Ave.
Okay.
All right. And then just as far as the work description, it's proposed to install a 2 to 3 foot wide trench by 2 to 4 foot deep. First, the roadway will be saw cutted, excavated, and then a 12-inch plastic PVC pipe installed for the gas line, backfilled, and then repaved over. And so this project is proposed to occur in spring 2023 as of now. It's intended to occur before Mass DOT does a significant paving job on the roadway. So just sequencing for that importance. The project timeline could be pushed potentially, but that's at least the plan for now. And we also propose, or Boston Gas as part of the project, a suite of erosion and sedimentation controls, such as street sweeping and then erosion controls installed around wetland resource areas so that they're not impacted by potential sedimentation from excavating in the roadway. And that's the quick summary that I have. Happy to answer any questions that the commission may have.
Thank you. We're going to open it up for public comment. And at the end of the public comment period, you can respond to any of the people who may have participated in that. And then we'll go on to commissioner comments. Chuck, is there anyone in the audience, or actually audience, is there anyone in the audience who wishes to comment on the project 418 to 658 Essex Ave from Boston Gas?
We currently have 8 attendees and there are no hands up.
Okay, then I will close the public comment period. We will move on to commissioner comments.
Member Charpentier, Member Cook,
We'd like to thank them for coming before us. I know it's a utility, so they really don't have to. But didn't we just literally just dig up this entire street in the area that you're talking about? Was it water? Maybe they did water, but we just had this entire street ripped up and done just a short while ago.
Member Gradwell,
No further comments, no comment.
and Member Jackson.
Where there is riverfront involved, do we need an alternatives analysis? Or is there one in there that I missed?
I believe normally with a roadway, we wouldn't require that. And since all this work is happening within the roadway, I think it might fall within that same, because the alternative would be a separate area.
Yeah, I think the alternative analysis is pretty clear what it would be, but I will take your word for that, Chuck. Okay, thank you. Sir, would you
I
like
didn't
to?
have any comments, Chuck.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry. Member Sherman.
No comments.
Okay, how do we keep missing you? Okay, sir, if you would like to respond to, I guess, Mr. Cook's comments.
Sure, yeah, I'm unaware of the previous work on Essex Ave. I unfortunately don't live in Gloucester, but I know, like I mentioned, that the plan is to conduct the project now so that when MassDOT is planning to pave the roadway, that there's all underground utilities installed so that no one would have to go back in and open up the roadway. So that's intent to have paving, be that fresh surface after that. And obviously water is different from natural gas too, but I know I can totally understand the frustration of having numerous trenches covered up on the roadway. And then to Chuck's comment as well, that's my understanding, since we aren't proposing any permanent impacts to riverfront area, that we did not provide a alternative analysis in the notice of intent, excuse me.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, sir. Since we don't have a DEP number, we do have to continue you. Would you be prepared to go to the meeting December 21st?
Sure, yeah, that'd be preferred.
Okay, Linda, would you like to make a motion to do so?
To move to continue 418 to 658 Essex Ave, NOI 028, no DEP number, to the meeting of December 21.
And Gradwell seconds.
Roll call, Member Charpentier,
Yes.
Member Cook,
Yes.
Member Gradwell,
Yes.
Member Sherman,
Yes.
and Member Jackson.
Yes. Okay, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Great, sounds good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, do we have Rob back?
Back.
All right, it's all yours.
Where's Dave? Oh, there it is.
Don't be taking away my paving there, Bill. Next up. No, RDA 1751, 2126 Coles Island Road, Meredith Bushnell. Removal of invasive species and planting of native grasses, wildflowers, shrubs, and buffer zone to ACEC and BBW riverfront area and LSCSF, sorry. Joel Favazza, legal, Seaside Legal Representative.
Thank you and good evening. Going on the left side also. For the record, my name is Joel Favazza. I am an attorney at Seaside Legal Solutions. The address is 123 Main Street in Gloucester. I'm here on behalf of Meredith Bushnell, the trustee, owner of 126 Cold Island Road. As the chair indicated, we have within the 100-foot buffer zone to a BVW, some considerable invasive overgrowth. And the applicant has worked with Anasquam Land Care to develop a invasive removal plan and a native species replacement plan. As you can see from the narrative attached in the list, it is a combination of low maintenance grasses, shrubs, wildflowers. It'll be kind of a meadowy look. The trees are, for the most part, good trees that belong out there, and the trees will be left. This is just understory invasive removal. And again, because a large portion, as you can see from the submitted map, is within 100 feet of the BVW, we just wanted to at least stop here real quick and make sure that we are okay to move forward with this. As you can see in the application, we think the exception under 310 CMR 1002 B2D, which allows for the planting of native species, trees, shrubs, or ground cover, but not turf lawns. I think that's the exception we can slot this project into. We want a negative determination from this commission before the owners took on will be a rather large project.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Vavaza. Next up would be public comment period. This is the period of the where the public is welcome to speak for or against the project at 126 Coles Island Road. You may do so by hitting the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen or hitting *9 on your phone or handheld device.
Currently have 5 attendees present and there are no hands up.
Okay, seeing none here, going to close the public comment period. Next up would be to basically get roll call comments from commissioners.
Member Charpentier,
No comments.
Member Cook,
No comments.
Member Gretel,
No comments.
Member Sargent,
Yeah, thank you for replacing the invasive plantings. I'm curious how long the newly planted vegetation will be monitored. Usually, you know, it takes some while for the newly planted vegetation to become established. I'm wondering if there's a set time or if that's been given any thought.
Member Sherman,
No comment.
Member Gullah, you're muted. Member Gullah, you're muted.
I was muted, sorry, no comments.
Good. And Member Jackson.
No comment.
All right, Mr. Vavaza, the only question were the comments from Commissioner Sargent.
Sure. So there is not a specified monitoring period. However, Anasquam Land Care, the company that's put forward this proposal, I believe does do the land care maintenance for this property. And so because this property is under the maintenance of a professional land care company that is doing installation, obviously there will be monitoring by that company. I suppose the commission could also, you know, rest in the fact that right now, because this area is so choked out with invasives, that if for some reason a portion of the natives weren't to survive, it would still be considerably better out there and in no way worse than what's there now. But again, I would just kind of leave it to the fact that this property is professionally maintained and the company that maintains it is the company doing the installation to provide some level of comfort that there's going to be motivation on all parts to make sure that what they are installing survives and what the owner is paying for survives.
Okay, then with that, I guess we can move to close the hearing and vote.
Okay, Commissioner Jackson moves to close the public hearing for RDA 1751 at 126 Coles Island Road.
Charpentier seconds.
Roll call. Member Charpentier,
Yes.
Member Cook,
Yes.
Member Gredwell,
Yes.
Member Sargent,
Yes.
Member Sherman,
Yes.
Member Gullah,
Yes.
and Member Jackson.
Yes.
Let's move to for a negative.
Commissioner, Yeah, Commissioner Jackson moves to approve, negative determination for RDA 1751 at 126 Coles Island Road. With,
Carpentier second?
go ahead.
Carpentier seconds?
Roll call, member Charpentier,
Yes?
member Cook,
Yes.
member Gradwell,
yes,
member Sergeant,
yes,
member Sherman,
yes,
member Gullah,
Yes.
and member Jackson.
Yes.
You're all set. You're welcome.
Have a good night.
All right. Other commission business, certificates of compliance. We have RCOC 28-2720, Cushing Lane, Patricia McLaughlin. Anything big to talk about there, Chuck? And Chuck, if you consider these things, unless it's really something we need to discuss, the old days, we just move it. If you say everything looks good, it's good. You know,
Okay.
spend a
Yeah.
lot of-
On this one, everything looked good. A lot of plantings in place and everything looked like it was well established. So I didn't have any issues on this one.
Okay. 247 East Main Street.
247 East Main, that one as well. I think the NOI number on that one is from a long time ago, 1989. So it has been well established for quite a while.
All right. 602, 606 Washington Street.
That one looked pretty good. It was the installation of a new roadway with a culvert. There was a native planting area that was part of the mitigation for the work in the wetland area. Everything looked really good, well established. There was a measure or a condition that there would be signage, permanent signage about not encroaching upon that wetland area. We're still waiting on that signage to be put up. It was not up at the time of the site visit. I don't know if John Judd has an update on that.
I could briefly, thank you, Chuck, Mr. Chairman. So we're putting stakes in. We had a rain out today. We're putting stakes in where those 4 signs are going to go. The applicant is in the process of having those signs made up. And so we'll let Chuck know when those are installed for his inspection. Thank you.
So we're not going to approve that RCOC tonight, okay?
Yes.
Thank you. RCOC 20-2835 40R Englewood, how's that? How'd that look?
It was the replacement of the septic system, and everything looked good there as well.
Okay. So with that, I guess we can move 3 of them together.
Okay, Commissioner Jackson moves to approve certificates of compliance for 28-2720 at 3 Cushing Lane, 28-556 at 247 East Main Street, and 28-2835 at 40R Englewood Road.
Linda, do you second?
Yeah, Charpentier seconds?
Roll call, member Charpentier,
Yes?
member Cook,
Yes.
member Gradwell,
yes,
member Sergeant,
yes,
member Sherman,
yes,
member Gullah,
Yes.
and member Jackson.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, next up is violations, 72 Sumner Road, debris pile and mowing, and ACEC Riverfront BVW, buffer zone BVW. What's happening over there, Chuck?
Pull up the. So on this one, I received. I was contacted by 2 different folks at DEP for a reported violation here. You can see there's a debris pile. Looks like mostly yard waste. I didn't see any trash in there. And there's also some mowing, removal vegetation that's occurred in this area. This was a Google Earth shot from 2019, from November. this was early December. So you can kind of see there is quite a bit of vegetation that was removed. This tree here is still there. It's just not in the picture. But as you can see, this was one of the days where we had some higher water. This pile is right down. What's the next slide? That water is right up to that pile of debris. DEP suggested moving forward on this with an enforcement order, which would require a vote by the commission. So that is here tonight. It is, ACEC there, obviously riverfront, and bordering wetland vegetation, or bordering vegetated wetland, excuse me.
So are you looking for us to vote on an enforcement order right now, or are you gonna put something together for us to sign for next week?
Yeah, so if you guys vote for the enforcement order, I will have it ready for you guys. If you feel it needs to be sent out sooner, I can sign it myself, and then you guys can sign it as you come in. Or I can, have it ready for you guys to sign if you don't feel it's a urgent matter. But you do need.
What you saw on the ground, I would say, does it look like this is recent or ongoing, or is it stable?
I think it's probably ongoing. I was told that there possibly a landscaping company, so it's probably something that's been, growing throughout the season. I guess there was a previous report of burning a debris pile down there. The fire department had to respond to.
Based on that, I would say we need to get on this sooner rather than later. So I don't know if you can send an informal letter saying we're going to be following up soon with an enforcement order. Don't do anything right now. Just wait for the order, and then at the next meeting we can sign an order. But I would still contact them sooner rather than later.
Yeah. So I can
Have you
send
had
out.
a chance to talk to the people down there, Chuck?
I have not yet. No, I was waiting to see how you guys wanted to proceed with this before I contacted them, but I will.
If I'm not mistaken, living in the area, I think the house that owns it is actually up on the hill a little bit. And this is a garage dumping ground on the other side of the road.
Yeah,
That is-
71, 73.
Itself is in horrible decay too. So
71. Yeah.
Okay, so you can take care of that for now, and we'll sign something next week.
Yes, but I guess you guys still need to vote on the enforcement order. If you want to. It requires a commission vote, yes.
Commissioner Jackson moves to issue an enforcement order for a violation at 72 Sumner Road.
Carpentier seconds.
Roll call, member Charpentier,
Yes.
member Kirk,
Yes.
member Gradwell,
yes,
member Sargent,
Yes.
member Sherman,
Yes.
member Goff,
Yes.
and member Jackson.
Yes, but question, is it Sumner Road or Sumner Street?
Summer Street.
I didn't know whether there was a road off it or something.
Is Great Lane or something, Great Hill Ave, right up to the right. Okay, anything else?
Yeah, go ahead, Chuck.
So we had another issue at 97 Leonard. And this one, it was brought to my attention, there was a silt fence that was down. There's some trash in the area. I contacted the owner. They've since fixed the silt fence, picked up the trash. But during the site visit, it was noted that this is the initial plan. There is a proposed retaining wall over here that kind of goes underneath a proposed screened porch area. And during the site visit, it was noted that retaining wall is much larger than the 2-foot high retaining wall. It's probably closer to 4 feet. and quite a bit further out. You know, it doesn't go under the deck as proposed. It's much further out, and therefore it has a lot more fill behind it. This area was, proposed to be a kind of a mitigation area where planting was going to occur because of the wetland just down from it. There is also another rain garden up here, so this kind of encroaches a little bit into that area as well. So essentially this area now is where this wall is, and it's backfilled behind there. So
Yeah, I think we see enough. I think it needs to get another enforcement order, so unless.
okay, I wasn't sure if this was something we wanted to, I let them know that this was not consistent with the orders of conditions and the plan. So I'll follow up with them. I guess we want to see that wall moved back to its proposed location, or to have them come in with a proposed amendment or something.
They can try for an amendment. I mean, that's a call the commissioners can make. My feeling is over there, that site in particular has been the bane, I think, of me and Bob's existence. That, isn't that the one with the little old lady and the little old gentleman, Bob, that we dealt with years ago?
Indeed,
So-
yes.
I think that drawing we're looking at is actually the older version of what, and I do think it doesn't even come close to what was originally proposed. So yes, that's a sensitive area. We've dealt with it for years. It looks like the whole place was clear cut, to be honest with you, but let's get them before us. It's got to be an enforcement.
Well, if Rob, if I may, if nothing is done at this point, I feel like, where that was filled in, where that wall was built, if that wall appeared in a few hours. One day it wasn't there, and the next day it was all filled in and that wall was built. And my fear is that if we allow it to be just an amendment and things are planted and things become established, then we get to the point where we say, well, it's here now, let him keep it.
No, I agree.
And that's kind of what happened last time with the previous owner. And both Mr. Judd and the owner, the applicant, came before us when this was proposed back in February and said, well, we didn't do that, but we'll make sure we don't do anything else. But I really feel they have now encroached even more on this resource area.
I would agree. I would also think that I have a feeling this is a recently purchased flipped house. I don't think the same owners are there now.
No. The owners that propose this are not the ones who.
Started this.
Yes.
Okay.
Just one more thing on the site. There is a drain pipe that went through the property. There was a trench and a drain pipe. And I just happened to walk past there today, and there was another trench built in where the proposed driveway was going. And there is no evidence that that drain pipe that's supposed to be going, draining off the hill and from the property, the abutters property. I don't believe that the drain pipe even exists anymore. I think it's been completely removed.
So what is the board, I mean, we're obviously gonna file an enforcement letter. Should we, I don't know. Do we give Mr. Judd a heads up that this is coming and you better get your ducks in a row to clean this mess up? Or do we just send an enforcement letter to the owner and be done with it?
Was Mr. Judd the one who oversaw this in violation of the plan?
No, it's his drawing. It's his drawing. That we
Okay.
approved.
Okay.
It's up to I mean, I don't really have a horse in this fight. You know what I would just do is just send the enforcement letter to the owner. Mr. Judd can deal with it on his own time.
Okay, so that will take another vote.
Correct.
What's the address again? Leonard Street,
97.
97?
97, yep.
97, okay. Commissioner Jackson moves to approve an enforcement order for violations at 97 Leonard Street.
Carpenter seconds.
Roll call, member Charpentier,
Yes.
member Cook,
Yes.
Member Gradwell,
Yes.
Member Sergeant,
Yes.
Member Sherman,
Yes,
Member Villa,
Yes, with this, yes.
and Member Jackson.
Yes.
I didn't want to say yes with discussion. The reason this is important, Annisquam's a tight neighborhood, and to have this right on the road like this, it just tells other people, oh, I guess this doesn't really matter, and there are a ton of wetlands around there. So look at, this must be the new order. So I think that, yeah, we need to get this resolved and, but taken care of, to say the least. Tired of this site, to be honest with you. That's going on 10 years now. All right, anything else, Chuck?
That is it.
Anything else, commissioners?
We were going to look at the meeting schedule.
I will send it out tomorrow.
Perfect.
Devin was just kind of finishing up today.
That's
And then, yeah, definitely let me know if there's any conflicts or any things that we did not see on the calendar, and we can, I don't believe we need to vote on it, but we can kind of discuss it offline.
Okay.
And then,
Right.
Sounds good.
Holiday
Okay.
present for everybody is we're gonna have a big meeting, so rest up for the 21st. So.
Oh, God, yes. Commissioner Jackson moves to adjourn this one.
Carpenter seconds.
roll call, Member Charpentier,
Yes.
Member Cook,
Yes.
Member Gradwell,
Yes, and I want you to note that I voted yes.
Member Sergeant,
I agree with Mr. Gradwell. Yes.
Member Sherman,
yes.
Member Gullah,
Yes.
and Member Jackson.
Yes.
Right.
Everybody stay safe. Everybody have a good week.
Likewise.
Too.
Good night.
You too. Thank you, Barry.
Oh.
Get your video cam fixed, Bob. Is it all better now?
I'm sorry?
Your camera all better now?
No, actually, I had to switch over. What I had been doing in the past is, using my computer, but actually zooming on my phone, but my phone just, so I'm using the computer right now, the laptop.
That's good. Get that on for 21st.
I will.
Good night, everybody. Be safe.
Okay, take care.
Good night. Good night, all.
Right.